Hi everyone and welcome. Thanks for tuning in to this week's project video. This week I'm turning a maple platter. This is a 2x12 figured maple blank that I picked up at Rockler. Here I'm marking the center, or finding the center and marking it. The figure in this wood turned out to be amazing, I think anyway. Stick around and let me know if you think the same. I use a worm screw and mount it on the 4-jaw chuck onto the worm screw, making sure it's tight. And here I'm seeing how out of round it is before I make it completely round. And my little sign language there was the RPMs, 550 RPMs to start. So a few passes and making it completely round. And here I've taken the tailstock, pushed the tailstock back, and I'm marking where I want the foot. And using a diamond parting tool to make the foot here, starting with the parting tool and then move on to the bowl gouge in a moment. I'm using the bowl gouge here to start to round the corners a little bit and take off some material that will be waste material. And here I'm using a pencil just to mark the areas that I'll be taking off with the gouge. So the wood from the side down to the back to make an OG shape, that's the wood that needs to be removed. And I use a combination of push and pull cuts and scraping to achieve the OG shape. And here I'm trying to get exactly the OG shape that I want, really trying to soften one curve into the other so it looks like a fluid curve. Taking light passes so I don't take too much off at once. And sanding. I sanded here from 150 to 400 grit. And I don't record it all, but you'll get to see a little bit of it if it's something that you like to do or enjoy watching. So 150, 180, 220, 320, and then raise the grain, clean the surface with denatured alcohol, and then I'll use 320 again before I move on to 400. Here's the 320 and the 400. And for the sanding sealer, I have a mixture of 70% sanding sealer and 30% denatured alcohol. So I put this on, let it soak in and dry, and move on to the next step. And the next step is to go over it with a Scotch-Brite pad, and then I'll use the Axe abrasive paste and polishing paste. I know everyone who turns probably has their own sort of ritual finishing process. This has been mine of late, and it seems to work well. Here's the Axe polishing paste. And even though this video is sped up, obviously, I don't work this fast. If you haven't tried the Axe is quick to use and it really has a great result. Taking it off the worm screw here, taking the worm screw out and mounting it on the foot that I created to start the top or inside. And using the gouge at this point to flatten it. I left a little extra on the lip. I didn't turn it as thin as I wanted to because I didn't know how much I would need to take off here to get it flat, until the thickness that I wanted the rim to be at. So I left a little extra to play with. So I used the bowl gouge for most of the rest of this. Here I'm marking where I want the rim to be. The rule of thumb, my rule of thumb, at least what I was taught, was 1/3 of the total diameter. Here I'm really working to get the rim thickness, or thinness I should say, to exactly where I want it before I start taking off any of the rest of the material. Some close-up shots here, just some very light push cuts. I stopped to sharpen a few times during this process. Using some denatured alcohol to clean the surface. And here I'm using, or starting, the intrinsic color collection using black for around the rim to highlight some of the grain before I go on to sand much of that off and start with a couple other of the intrinsic colors. So if you haven't done this process, not just with intrinsic colors, but with any stain or dye, the idea is on a curly piece or a figured piece of wood that you put a dark color down first, sand much of it off, and then put another color over it, and the darkness that remains underneath of this orangey red, for example, will be highlighted for a neat effect. So I used flame and ruby here, mostly ruby. I didn't end up using as much flame as I intended to at the beginning because I really liked the ruby. I thought the black figure underneath, as well as the natural figure, gave a good effect. So I didn't worry too much about blending in two colors. And after that dried, putting some sanding sealer over that. And starting with the Axe abrasive paste over one coat of sanding sealer. So I use the abrasive paste and then the Axe polishing paste here in a second. Same process that was used on the back. and the X polishing paste here. Buffing off the polishing paste, and you can tell even from this shot how shiny the polishing paste makes it. Starting the hollowing process here for the inside of the platter slash bowl. I guess it could be used for either. Stopping here and checking for thickness overall to see how much more material I can take out. I don't have any calipers, so I don't generally do that. I stop frequently and feel for the thickness. I should pick up some calipers, really. And before the video ends here in about 3 minutes, I wanted to say thank you so much to the viewers, to my subscribers, and to those of you who are watching that are not subscribed. It is free to subscribe. There's a new video every week, and I would really appreciate your support. And although I don't say it very often, I do have a Patreon page. If you're interested in supporting future content, feel free to check that out. There's a link in the video description. No pressure whatsoever. For the inside of the bowl, I sanded from 150 all the way up to 600, and then applied the same finishing process as I did with the rim and the back, which is sanding sealer here, letting that soak in and dry, and then the X abrasive paste and X polishing paste. Links to all of that are in the video description if you're interested. There are some photographs at the end of the video, but also at the end is a video of taking it off the 4-jaw chuck, which I try to show some close-ups of the platter because of the figure in the wood is so beautiful. So stick around for a minute and watch that. And other ways to support the channel: you could like the video, give it a thumbs up, also share the video to your social media. Give a comment, let me know what you think in the comment section. It lets YouTube know that people are watching and makes it into YouTube's algorithm so they can get it in front of more people. So anything you do like that is greatly appreciated, and I very much appreciate everyone watching and sticking around. Oh, I should mention too, I have the Sharpie out because the edge of the rim, I use the black Sharpie to finalize that, to really tie everything out. But here I'm going to show some close-ups of the platter. The wood, the figure is just beautiful. I thought the platter blank when I bought it was kind of expensive. I almost didn't buy it. It was $40 at Rockler, but after getting into it, I think it was well worth it. So thanks again, everyone. I really appreciate it. If you haven't yet, give a thumbs up. Thank you so much. Until next week, peace out.